Audio's on.
Good morning, everybody. We are running late today, and I'll explain here in just a minute. But meanwhile, the views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and/or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and/or nonprofits. So, without any further ado, we're going to listen to our video here in just a second on YouTube and see how it sounds. I know. Merge. Good morning. Coming to you live from Acts Media Group headquarters here in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. It's the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay with your host, Matt and Jay. On this New Year's Day, first show of the year, 2020. Working out some audio logistics here today, so I apologize to those who are wondering, hey, where are you guys at? Well, here we are. Now. It's nothing short of a miracle. It's the way you hold my heart to you. I am yours forevermore. You are close and cold. Who I was before. All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
My name is Steve.
We're glad to have everybody on board with us today. Now, you're probably wondering why we are so late getting on the air today, and that is because we were trying to figure out why the sound was messed up on our YouTube video yesterday for Steve O. Mickey Mac's show. So what I want to do is I'm going to play this, and we're going to listen. So what I want to do is I'm going to play this, and we're going to listen. It is buzzy. So what I want to do is I'm going to play this, and we're going to listen. Oh, there's going to be a feedback there. Hold on. So what I'm going to do...
Unplug that second one.
Yep. Because for some reason we're not getting... Let's see, which one's right and which one's left? Which one do we have this plugged into, the right or the left?
The left would have been plugged in before.
Hey, what's going on? Check one, 2, 2.
What?
It was buzzy because the volume's up too loud on the camera, I think.
Oh, that's probably why, yeah.
But we're going to leave it like this for now.
All right.
We'll work on that this weekend.
For some reason, I'm not getting my watch pretty.
We'll work on that this weekend or somehow, some way.
I have to do Sonic.
Here we go. Work on that this weekend or somehow, some way.
I have to do Sonic.
Here we go.
I have to do Sonic. Is that less buzzy?
To me, it is.
You know what? Having
It
two
is.
inputs may have given it more
Power,
volume.
more oomph.
It doubled the volume. So, yeah, you're probably right. It is probably the camera volume.
It was, it was clipping on the camera.
That's why, because it's getting two signals now.
So that makes me want to mess with it right now. But anyways, okay, so be sure and keep in your prayers. Hold on. Okay, so be sure and keep
Yeah,
in your
that-
prayers.
That's what it is.
Dad, so good morning, Kevin Kilmurray.
Good morning, Kevin.
Much clearer, he says. He's actually on our YouTube video, watching live and commenting live. So
Love
Hey.
you, brother.
good to see you, Kevin Kilmurray.
Yes, he's my buddy.
Sorry, I backed it up. There we go. We're back to live on this. Kevin Kilmurray used to be in charge of the AxeRadio.com, I believe. Was that correct, Kevin? There we go. Much clearer.
I don't know.
Well, that's good. I'm glad we got that figured out. But next time, yeah, I did notice that it was all the way over where usually it's down a little bit. You know what I mean? Jay Dizzle?
Yeah.
On the little meter on the side. On the side of the thing.
Was
The viewer.
clipping.
Huh?
Was clipping?
Yeah. It was all the way forward.
Ah.
And the only time it moved down was whenever nobody was talking.
So it was just pegged, huh?
Yeah. Yep. All right, so today we're going to keep praying for Dad. Dad is having an issue this morning, and he might be going to he's going to go to the hospital. Spouts of vertigo, and issues with urination. So if it's enough to scare Dad enough to get him to go to the hospital, you know it's bad. Oh, that was Steve, wasn't it? Was that Steve O Mickey Mac?
I was trying to hold. Yep, it was.
He's
I
trying to
admit
get your
it.
attention.
Yeah.
I wanted your attention.
So I talked to our buddy Kevin, and he was watching during the show with you and Tanner and me and Steve the other day,
Yeah.
and he says, "Well, I just couldn't stop watching that train wreck." It was like because because the conversation was going on, it was a very intense conversation, and you know how I put a pin in it and we did all that stuff. And actually, at some point, it may have been the day before or that day, whatever day it was the day that Tanner said, "I'm just going to stop talking," because I kept like singing and being silly.
Yeah,
I think
interrupting.
that was the day before.
Yeah.
Is that the one he's talking about?
That one, and and then of course the intense conversation between you two.
Which one was the one?
That's the one that I was here for.
And he said,
Which one was he calling the train wreck?
I think it was the one where everybody. It seemed like everybody was confused as to what the point of the conversation was.
Oh.
And which it was a very broad, it's a very intense conversation. So of course, if you come in this very middle of it, it was there the details amidst the conversation with data that you both have researched and
I
put in your
think
mind.
that was pretty bizarre to me, though, for somebody to make a comment, I don't understand, I'm confused, but then not say what they're confused about,
Right.
and then to completely stop the conversation because of that comment just made no sense.
It wasn't just because of that comment, though. We had established that.
Right, but it was, yeah, I mean, it was.
No,
Because you said that's why.
well, I mean that's the initial, but it was also because, nobody was able to talk. So, here's what I'm going to do, and we agreed on the bell. We're going to
Yeah.
I'm going to get a bell for each seat. You know those office desk bells, ring for
Well,
service.
Tanner and I were talking.
Yeah. Well, I mean the conversation that basically it carried over from before the show, and then onto the show.
Right.
And then took up most all of the show. You know,
Yes.
and I don't know. I don't know why I felt anxious
Yeah, I mean, I
because I was confused too. I'm not gonna lie.
I like a good debate, and I think that's a good thing, and I think we have that less often than we have shows that are nonsense most of the whole time. So
Well,
for me, it was an issue. I
A
thought
debate
we
of
should
that nature, yes, I agree. I believe we have a pretty good balance. I believe.
Yeah, well, we have to work at it. It's
Yeah.
not. It always ends up going one way or the other. So we end up being. It's like a ebb and flow. So we'll have a lot of nonsensical shows, and the more nonsensical we are, then the more we get that way, and then it comes and swings back.
Yeah.
We have more serious series of more serious
Like
shows.
today's topic of conversation is going to be about suicide and self-harm awareness this time of year.
Yeah, well, what about? I think we should attach that. For just to say those things, I think shouldn't stand alone. So suicide awareness and
Right.
what was the other
That's,
one?
self-harm. Now, that's why I
prevention?
said we're going to talk about it because it's you had made an observation where people don't really some people don't contemplate suicide until they hear
They start hearing the word a lot.
right. So, and then all of a sudden, contemplation is the first step in
Yeah.
the plan. So, this time of year, the suicide rate hikes up like crazy because everybody's maxed out their credit cards, taking out loans, and next thing you know, and it's really amazing to see
And
somebody.
are lonely for important big holidays where they see so many people together celebrating and
they've
enjoying
lost
the company
somebody.
of other people.
Exactly.
And they're alone. Yeah, they've lost. I know that losing people. I lost my dad. I mean, we recently lost Dennis Coden, and it is a time of mourning. And I guess this is weird to say about when we talk about suicide, is that people are allowed to die. We all die,
Yeah, minimum of one per customer.
but we don't. We don't all at least feel like we're living all the time.
Right.
There's a lot of good and positive things in life, and I think when we focus on what's overwhelming
Makes
and
us see
negative, that's when we start
Larry
to feel
Melton.
depression and suicide. But there's so many positive things that happen in
Alex
life that we
Webb.
can all look forward to, and what I discovered in life and what I think God
Huh.
made me aware of and even kind of made a promise was that he showed me the good things in my life.
Welcome, Alex.
He showed me the good people in my life. And those are the things that we live for. You know, those are the things we are to live for and to love and take joy in. And those things will come again if we have the life to live.
Yeah.
But once you take your life, you don't. So to be kissed again, to be hugged again, to be, you know, for somebody to tell you that they love you, to have a plan to go out and enjoy somebody's company, those are all things that over time will come again. Those are things that in life includes those things.
Well, life ebb and flows like that.
So
you know.
sometimes focusing on this moment where it's not occurring and focusing too much on other people and what they're doing.
Right.
You know, if your focus is going to be on people who have such great joy in life all the time, you're going to start to wonder what's wrong with me.
Now,
You know,
you suffer. Now, Steve O'Mickey Mac, do you suffer from PTSD?
Yes.
You are a veteran.
Yes.
Now, is your PTSD as a result of the military?
Yes. It's some of it is, but most of it's from
Because
childhood.
you don't have to be a veteran to have post-traumatic stress.
Right. No, you don't. And it affects family members that aren't veterans, whether you're a wife, husband, child, you know, teenager. It does affect everybody in the family as well as a person. And you could have a traumatic event just being a civilian,
Yeah.
and you can have PTS. So it used to be a myth, or everybody's military. That's only for military. No, it's not.
Well,
and I've learned a
anytime
lot
you
about
have
it. so-
stress caused by a situation, any stress after that is post-traumatic stress. If it's a traumatic situation,
Right.
it becomes a disorder that sometimes needs to be treated chemically,
Yep.
even,
Yes.
or with some heavy counseling and things like that.
Sometimes years.
We got a veterans crisis hotline here, 1-800-273-8255 extension 1. And I'm going out on a limb here and saying if you're having a crisis and you want to talk to somebody, they're not going to turn you away if you're not a veteran.
Right. Exactly.
Because what kind of terrible person would do that? Be like, oh, I'm sorry, you're not a veteran.
they would at least direct you somewhere.
Yeah.
The organization I belong to, Impact 22, it's basically you wear that shirt that's got the army boots or whatever. Impact. We're hoping that 22 means 22 active members or 22 non-active members of military commit suicide a day, and it's going down by at least one that I'm aware of.
And depression is a real thing.
Yes.
And people do suffer from that, and most of the time in silence.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to be talking about that on my show.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
Next Tuesday. Jeremiah
Yes.
Umans, welcome to the party. Alex Webb says, I believe he posted a comment and said, Becky's son. So, I think that might be Becky. Are you Becky Code's son? Which Becky? We know a few Beckys. But anyways, welcome to the show regardless. So today we're talking about, if you're just now joining us, Jeremiah, for instance, we are talking about the suicide rate. Now, Jay, you wanted to add something to that. You said
I don't know. I think we ought to find a way to phrase it that brings awareness to our thoughts and our focuses. And I think a lot of depression oftentimes is that we're, like what was it that brought you to depression?
Well, welcome to the show, Alex. We're glad to see you.
It was, unfortunately, it was a lot of family issues that I had with my dad and being bullied in school.
And a lot of people suffer with that, too, in silence.
Right, and I think a lot of physical things happened with me growing up because of that post. Of course, I never heard of PTSD until I got older, but depression did set in to the point where, I had suicidal thoughts.
Was it a sense of feeling unwanted or unloved, or?
Yeah.
Or
and
like
my mom was
just
always
not knowing what to do.
right, and my mom, she was the prayer warrior. She'd burn the midnight oil for me, and she knew I was hurting.
Figured that, Jeremiah.
So,
And I think that's part of the problem with suicide is that there are people in your life that love you and care about you.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be people that you're not even aware of now who will come into your life, who love you and care about you, want to reach out to you, who relate to you, think you're cool, and think you're great, and somebody they
Right.
want to spend time with. That all takes time. You know, you have to go through life in order to come to those places in your life where you can experience that joy. A lot of the times our focus is just on the heavy and the sad parts. So what does that say about your mother, you know, when you're thinking about suicide and you're sad and you're depressed? What does that say about your mother?
Yeah.
It says a lot, believe
Well,
it or not.
And-
Well, but what I mean is, why couldn't you focus on the mother that loved you and was praying for you?
Yes.
Those are
Because it was so
positive things.
driven. The situation between my dad and I was so rough and so intense that my mom tried to be
Morning,
the
Steve Schultz.
peacemaker, and she was always not. She didn't really do this. But
You guys continue talking. I'm going to take this. This is my dad.
okay, we're praying for him.
Yep.
I think that with my mom and I's relationship, she knew I was hurting. She sensed it, but there was not a lot she could do, and I would whisper to her and things, and that's when my dad would interrupt us, and I never really had a chance. And then there was times where we did have conversations, and she said, well, you know, you have to be careful around your dad. You know, as far as talking to me, so I would wait till he left the room or left.
He didn't want you talking to your mother?
He wanted her to himself, just like he did with the rest of the family.
So he was jealous.
Right. He had a jealousy. He was a narcissist, and I don't mind saying that, you know. And I think that might have been part of the problem.
Right.
But the love for my mom and the love that she had for me, it was a bond that I just didn't want to break. And when I lost her, it was just like I lost part of my heart.
How many other people in your life do you think that, even in the time that you were depressed, do you think that there were signs of love in your life, that people wanted you and cared?
There were some adults at my church that really genuinely cared. That's why I didn't have a lot of teenage friends at church. They were more or less my mom and dad's friends, and they showed concern. The people that worked at the church showed a lot of concern, and they knew about my dad's situation. They didn't have to search. They knew just from the body language, and so that they would help me out when they could and how they could. And I think my sisters had a lot to do with it too. They were not really there, but they verbally would talk to me over the phone, especially in my late
Encouraging words.
Right, especially in my early adulthood.
Do you think that in some way sustained you, or do you think
Yeah, it
Yeah.
did. I mean, as I grew older and got older, I started understanding things better, and it just drew my sisters and I closer together as my mom and dad got sicker and my dad got sick, and I think that it drew us together closer, and I was able to say a lot more and talk a lot more to my other sister, you know, who lives in Michigan, but I was able to talk to her, and she knew I was hurting. She knew there were situations going on in my life that she just didn't know the ins and outs of it, but we've gotten closer.
Yeah.
And that's how we're closer today. And I think the sister that I lost, her son, my nephew, oldest one, now it's gotten us closer.
Yeah. How do you think they feel about you?
Oh, they love me dearly. I mean, I've heard my oldest sister tell me she loves me, and that was very rare. It's not that I'm saying that she never did or didn't care, but she verbally has said I love you on the phone lately, and that just teared me up a lot at the beginning. But now I feel a sense of love from my family, even though I lost my brother a couple of years ago. I think the three of us now are growing closer, I do believe.
Yeah, I think it's important to tell the people that you love them. I don't think we should overuse it so
Right.
that it loses its
'Cause-
meaning
'cause
and
then it
becomes
sounds
taken for
fake.
granted. Well, it can also be taken for granted.
Right.
You know, and I think taken for granted the good things in our lives and the good things that will come in our future, because we have a good God who intends for good things. And even if you don't believe in good God, just there's the fact of life is that each day as it passes and we go through it and we move through it, we are going to encounter and have another thing is don't isolate.
Right.
You know,
That's
isolation.
the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, especially if you're depressed because you're isolated with your own thoughts and your own self-reflection, and it's pretty purely, and then it more narrows even down more intensely on the negative.
Because you
Where-
get angry with yourself because you feel like nobody cares, and it doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in public and you're truly feeling sad and down, but yet you're, like you're doing your grocery shopping or whatever and anything. I mean, even if your countenance is really down, strangers will reach out and love. I mean, if a
Exactly.
stranger can love you, how much more can a person who knows you love you?
Right.
And so isolation is such a bad thing because it leaves you alone with the negative part of your thoughts, and you take more for granted the good and positive things in your life, and those things tend to disappear like a vapor. They're not. It's not that they're not there. It's just they're gone out of your conscious thought.
Right.
And I think that is part of the mistake. When I had tried to commit suicide and I was actually dying, I believe that it was the only time I ever heard God's actual voice speaking to me, and it was He showed me my life, the good things,
Right. So it was audible.
as I was dying, and said, "You won't have these things again if you die."
Mm-hmm.
So I thought of my brothers and my brother and my sisters and my mother and my father and my cousins and all the people who actually loved me. I thought of all of those things that I had taken for granted while I was focusing about the loss of a child in the womb, still in the womb, and couldn't bear to go on for that loss. I had just thought about that loss and that pain, and He showed me.
The ambulance is taking Dad to the hospital right as we speak.
Okay.
I will be. We will not have a show after hours today. Tony Hammock is out of town, and even if he wasn't, I would cancel that show anyways because Dad is going to the ER.
Good idea.
I got to go home, or I get to go home and take care of Mom because she relies pretty heavily on Dad. And, I do have to shout out if any of Marcia's, Clean Sweep Ministries ladies are watching. The house leader, I know your willingness to help and sit with Mom while I sleep today, it means so much to us. Though we're not going to be utilizing that service today, I really do appreciate it. I mean, it's amazing that, a complete stranger is willing to step up and go and sit in
It
the
says a
house
lot about her.
of a woman that she doesn't know,
Says a lot about Clean Sweep too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
And that's kind of a thing, that's what I'm seeing. Such an amazing thing when as it relates to suicide and depression. We have men, we were on the show yesterday, who are getting out of prison.
I'll tell you in a second, Steve Schultz.
Perfect strangers say, you know what, you're going to come and you're going to stay at our place.
Yeah.
And then those perfect strangers show you love and try to teach you a different way and show you the love of God in their life, and to share that love with you so that you understand you are worth it. You're valued. I don't even know you, but my whole life is dedicated to giving you an opportunity to change and come out of prison, reintroduce yourself to the world in a different way that is going to keep you out of prison and help you to live life more abundantly with joy and peace.
And that's where Dennis and Becky come in.
Thank you, Susan Burrows. Steve Schultz, what happened, and, I won't get into super details about it because some of them he may not want everybody to know, but I'll say that he thanks Thomas Jacob, or Jake as I call him. I miss you too, brother. He had a bout of vertigo, a little spout of vertigo the other day, and he said he really hasn't felt very well since. And then, so he thought it was just something that just passed. Dad doesn't go to the hospital unless it's absolutely necessary. So when he says he's calling an ambulance, that's serious.
Has he been hearing okay? Like, can he hear you?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I mean, as good as he can. He's got hearing aids. Last
Right.
time we went shooting, he didn't have his earplugs in the right way, so he couldn't hear for about 2 weeks. He was like, huh? All the time. And there were other issues with, his urinary tract. He wasn't able to pee, and he feels like he has to. So
Something wrong with your ears can create core tension too, because your
yeah.
tension.
And
to
it could be
balance
stress
and
with
hold
the
yourself up.
with the other family situation that's going
be.
on that everybody knows about. So keep praying. Pray for Mom. She's going to be freaking out big time. But we got Marcia, our sister.
Is she there with your mom?
She is not there with Mom. Mom was calling her whenever I got off the phone with her. Marcia is going up to the hospital and meeting Dad up there.
It's just it's strange that your dad's worried about it.
Yeah. That's why.
That's not him. I mean, I can just hear him and how stressed out he's going to be, and he shouldn't really. You can't help it, but he shouldn't be stressed out because of what's going on, because it's not helping him or anybody else.
I think he probably remained calm. He's pretty calm.
Now,
But I mean,
Sissy
for him to
Brooks, is
feel-
that you? Are you the one that offered to come to the house and sit with Mom? I was just curious about that. Or is Sissy Brooks somebody that you know? No, I think Sissy Brooks is you're part of Clean Sweep Ministries, correct?
Oh, she sounds familiar
Yeah.
from Clean Sweep.
Yeah. So if that's you, man, right on. Thank you. Like I said, we're not gonna use your service today. We were going to, but Mom she's under a lot of stress here lately too, and new people and the dog barking and all this stuff. The dog is nuts. Their dog is nuts whenever there are strangers around.
Oh boy.
Thank you so much, Sissy. You have no idea how much it means to us that you were
Thanks,
even
Sissy.
willing, because I was going to pick her up and take her over there on the way home, and it just does my heart good to see that, and it does. It says a lot about Clean Sweep Ministries, and she is the house manager at Clean Sweep Ministries. So
Sissy does a great job, from what I'm understanding.
yeah, Marcia has nothing but good things to say about her. So, but yeah, keep praying, folks. I don't mean to interrupt on y'all's conversation here, but
No, that was important.
Dad's pretty important to me. So,
Yeah, I think that takes precedence.
I think it's part of the things that weigh people down in life that do bring depression. Is sickness. So people being sick, being concerned for somebody like you are.
yeah,
And I had a situation because I was depressed, and I think because of my PTS and because I had seizures.
Mm.
And I think they said it was because I don't know if you've ever heard of pseudo seizures.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when your body just stresses out and it can't do nothing.
your brain short circuits,
Yes.
and you lose memories whenever you have seizures.
I had 5 weeks of being a little 5-year-old kid. I had a dissociative disorder, and I did lose my memory for about 5 weeks, and I was a 5-year-old kid.
Wow.
That was intense. I mean, and my Rachel, she just went nuts. My mom, and of course, my dad was doing his own thing. He didn't really understand and believe that I was going through that, but my mom and Rachel, they were both there to support, and so was the rest of the family.
Sissy Brooks is a top fan. She watches every day too. I can't believe I didn't know that. I mean, that's just.
So,
But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no. That's okay. So,
My brain's a little bit scattered right now.
I
my
wonder
dad means
why.
a lot. My dad means a lot to me,
yeah,
and
you already told us before the show that if something happens,
yeah, I'll
you're
shut
not,
this show down in an instant if that's what it takes. I mean, no offense to you guys. I'm sure you guys understand, but
There's
that
my feet.
family's important.
Yes.
And and that brings me back to now, Jay. You had a suicide attempt when you were younger.
Yep.
And whenever you tell the story, you talk about how you saw the light,
I did see the light.
and
yeah.
you believe it was your spirit leaving your body.
I believe it was my light going out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you started
My
seeing,
body dying.
yeah, but then you started seeing the good times in your life, right? And
Yep.
like literally your life was flashing in front of your eyes, or just kind of you were contemplating it. at
So
that
all of the thoughts in my head that led me to the attempt of suicide were absent of these facts of my life, and that those facts were that there were good joyful things in my life, and there were people who loved me in my life that were worth living for, and those experiences were worth living for, and then allowing something so tragic that had happened to me to completely oppress and stamp out those good things. You know, life is about a lot of things. It's not about one thing. And that one thing may be very, very, very sad. But if you can look up and look around and start to see what's good, to focus on it. Sometimes we have this reluctance to look at something that's good in the face of something so bad. Like Dennis, and Dennis dying is a really good example. It was so sad for him to have died, and it's such a major loss to the ministry and even to our lives. Seeing him once a week, he made a real contribution that I didn't even realize he was making, took for granted.
And he was also one of those guys that if you didn't see him for a month and then you saw him, it's like you never stopped talking to him.
Yeah, just like
you've
at
seen
Acts
him every day.
Church. When,
Absolutely excited to see you. Authentically excited to see you. And you
and
can see
here
it
comes that Dennis hug.
Yeah. Oh, so it was happening. It's going to happen.
Oh,
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know? And
Come here, come here.
But you did you? I was paying attention. My brain was elsewhere. Did you get to the point where you said you realized that it was like God? Did you say God? You felt like God spoke to you and said, "You'll never have these good times again."
You'll never have these good things again, yeah.
Because so many times in a lot of people's hearts, I believe they feel like, yeah, some people like they want to do it just to show people that they will miss them. You know, that those people will miss them when they're gone.
Yeah.
But the problem is once you're gone, you're gone. You can't say, "Oh, come back. Oh, see, I told you. You know, what do you guys think of me now?"
Yeah.
That a lot of people have that feeling too. Now, there are also psychological reasons where people, due to medication, the lack of medication, stopping of certain medications, will cause irrational behavior and no.
Don't ever go cold turkey.
The old automotive teacher at Willard. Oh, wow. A lot of people are telling their stories on our comments. Thank you, Sissy. We really appreciate you. She says she's ready on the spot if needed. And proud to help. Love y'all. Cool. Steve, I have to mention Steve Schultz did put a prayer on our comments for Dad. But, yeah, I knew a girl that she didn't have the money for her psychological medications. And the one particular medication, if you stop it, one of the main symptoms is, or one of the main things that happens as a result of that is attempts on your own life. Because you don't, at that time, your brain is not functioning properly. You don't realize the what do you call that, the consequences of your actions in that way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And and a lot of people, they do it with pills. A lot of people do, I mean, however they do it, it's a terrible thing, and it doesn't make the pain better for the person who does it, because if they pass away, they're not going to feel it anymore. They're just passing on pain to their family members also.
Yeah.
And you got to think about it. So if you're contemplating suicide today or harming yourself in any way, think about the good times that you've had in your life. Try to.
Know that they'll come again.
They will.
If I'd have passed away, I would have never met a man named it. And maybe I'm harping on it, but he actually was the kind of man who would hug you in a way that when he was present, you would get in line for that.
Yes, you do wait for it in
Yes.
anticipation.
Yeah.
Right.
Like my
That
turn.
is a tremendous
Dennis is here.
love.
Ooh.
That was a tremendous. It reminds me of Jesus, and it is that you're not in line. You're not really in
No,
line.
you're right.
You know, he loves you, and he's there for you, and you're not waiting in line. He's not too busy. All of the other prayers that are coming to him simultaneously, he has the capacity to know what that is and process it.
And he does know.
And we
what it
know
is.
Oh,
because he
yeah.
responds to us.
And the Holy Spirit interprets those prayers that are not audible.
He'll look at you and point to you and go, "Come here."
Yeah.
Be like Jesus.
Dennis does the same. Does that too. Well, we were talking about God there for a minute, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
you
what
know,
I'm saying. Combat suicide by loving like Jesus did.
Yes.
You don't have to know somebody to love them. You know.
And don't be ashamed to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know a lot of people, they don't say anything out of fear that someone's going to think they're just trying to get attention.
Exactly.
Don't worry about that. Just talk to somebody. Find somebody you trust. If you don't have anybody that you trust right offhand, call up 911 and talk to them. And they'll patch you through.
I would say call the suicide prevention line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Call both.
Yeah. Well, if you don't know the suicide prevention line, call 911. They'll
And-
patch you through.
Exactly. They will.
So there's always somebody there. Go to your local church.
Yeah.
Go in the door and say, "Hey, I don't know where else to go."
I think part of it too is the hustle and bustle of life makes
taking Dad to Mercy
important
'cause Cox is
things
full.
it causes important things to take a back seat.
Yeah.
Like right now, we're doing a show. It's scheduled. We're supposed to be here. It's like a job. And your dad's sick. He's going to the hospital, right? So there's a choice there. Do you want to be at the hospital when your dad gets there? Do you want to finish the show that you've obligated yourself to
Right.
and set as a priority and a commitment? So I think when people are feeling depressed and suicidal, they do throw little bones out there. And they
Yep.
do test the waters.
It's true.
Which that brings me. Go ahead. Sorry.
But when somebody's so busy that they don't take that as seriously as it is, part of the reason is that a person testing the waters when they're depressed and trying to find somebody to talk to or trying to say something that might trigger somebody to say, look,
Or they're putting signs out there that they don't realize they're putting out there.
right.
True.
But part of it is you might test these waters and by saying something a little less significant
see if
than,
anybody
hey, I'm
cares
feeling
enough.
suicidal.
Yeah.
You say something a little less significant by saying something like,
A little less
This-
direct.
this whole thing about for the laws in Virginia, it makes me sad. You might say that, and somebody else is like, hey, and if they're busy, they may not even get a chance to talk to. You see what I mean?
Like, yeah, that makes me mad too.
Be specific.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to tell somebody that you're really thinking that,
Yeah.
and give people the chance to show compassion by telling them the truth about what you're
Yeah.
thinking.
Because what's the worst that'll happen? If you're planning on committing suicide anyways,
You'd be
The worst that could
surprised how
happen-
quickly people will change their priorities, no matter how high the other priority is. That
Yeah.
even a stranger whose life is at risk may be a higher priority
Yeah.
than their own life. Even look at heroes, what they do. They run into burning buildings and die there. There's somebody, if they know the
and all
gravity,
they're focusing on is taking care of the people and saving the people and helping the people that are in there.
they don't even have to know you.
Yeah.
Right.
No, they don't. But all they know
They
is
value life.
your life is so important to them that they will give theirs up for it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that blows me away.
That's what Jesus did for us. That's what Jesus did. That's the example.
Larry Mountain says, I don't know why I love you, but I do.
Amen.
Thank you, Larry.
I love you too, Larry.
Sometimes you don't have to know why you love somebody. Just make it a point to love on someone today. And if you even have the slightest, for those of you who aren't having the situation where you're contemplating it, don't ignore the warning signs or if you have any hint of a doubt or any hint of an idea that one of your friends or family or loved one or somebody that's just an acquaintance, if you think that they might be contemplating it, make it a point to talk to them. They may not want to talk to you, but like I said, what's the worst that could happen? They tell you to go away. You say, okay, well, I'm right over here, right next to you if you need me. Because where I work, the guy that I replaced committed suicide, and nobody had any idea that he was in that place. That place in his life where he was contemplating it. He smiled at work all the time. He made it a point to love everybody and to make everybody else smile. He was a nice guy. I saw grown truck drivers that are mean-sounding all the time break down into tears because of what happened to this guy. Out of nowhere, suddenly he's no longer with us. And it wasn't drug-induced, that I'm aware of. I mean, like I said, when you take psych meds and stuff like that, you can't just stop them because it changes the chemistry of your brain and the way your brain works.
It's more than drugs by themselves, though, too,
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
There's
And a friend of mine that I went to Bible college with, he had a girlfriend that he and his girlfriend were having problems, but it's not
Larry,
enough.
are you getting philosophical on
It's
us
not
today?
enough to, if you're having issues with your girlfriends or your wife. It's
No,
not
I
enough
tried to contact you, Larry, but you weren't. You didn't respond. I was going to go out there and meet you, but I didn't know that it was okay to just go out there and look at the bus on my own without being chaperoned. I didn't want somebody to shoot at me because I was stealing a bus or something, you know.
So he's a good friend, and he looked and appeared like he was fine, but he told me, he said, I'm going to go up north to the cabin, and me and the girlfriend are going to go, and of course it was not chaperoned, but there was other people with them. And he said, well, I'll see you later. And I happened to be working as a security guard at the bus station, Greyhound bus station. And he went ahead and I said, you know what, brother, love you. And he looked like something was bothering him. And I asked him, I said, are you all right? Oh, I just need to go clear my head. And I'm like, okay. So he went up. Next thing I know, I'm in class the next day. And did you hear about, Eric? And I went, no. He committed suicide last night. He went to that cabin and ended up hanging himself.
So now you've got survival's guilt, and you're saying, hey, I could have stopped that.
Because I was the last person he talked to.
So don't assume by the outer appearance.
Right.
It doesn't hurt, even if they're not throwing out warning signs or anything. Talk to your friends and family and loved ones, or even just complete strangers, and let them know that there are people out there that love them. There's a Savior that loves them, and if they don't know
Amen.
them, they need to be introduced.
Well, and the person who's depressed and feeling suicidal has to take the right steps.
Yeah.
You have to let people know what it is that's missing in your life. You have to say, look, I'm lonely. I'm sad. I'm thinking about these things and I just can't get it out of my head. And I'm not seeing anything good in life.
Being bipolar does
You
the
got
same
to
thing.
say that. And you got to say, look, I just need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
Or else I can see that things aren't going well. You got to be honest and really reach out. You got to tell people what you need and want, too. You got to say, look.
Larry says, just come out here like it's your farm.
Ah.
So I think you have a standing invitation. Just come out there and
That's
check
great,
it out.
and I have that. I have the address. He did send me the address, and I thought, well, there's the address, and then I thought, am I gonna? So I don't know if you're there.
He says he has 2 farm hands that will show you around.
Oh, okay.
That's a good idea.
So, but it's time for us to get out of here.
It is.
Already.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
surprised I'm surprised we went the whole entire show without me saying, "All right, I'm done."
Yep.
But
Love your neighbor
God
as
has
yourself.
God
Yes.
has this, man.
That includes the strangers around you, the people that you don't know. They're probably the odds of you standing next to somebody who's suffering in silence are pretty high.
Yeah.
God
Especially
loves
this
you.
time of year. So really, make it a point to talk to people and show love to people.
Yeah, God
Hug
loves
them
you,
like
and so
Dennis. That needs to be a bumper sticker. Hug them like Dennis. And I actually thought about designing an in memory of sticker to go on the back of your windshield. It says "Hug them like Dennis," and just have take one of his pictures and just have like a silhouette of his picture
Oh,
with him with the
yeah.
long hair.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm talking about. I think that would be great. I might still work on that. But anyways, Nikki Skek says howdy and Happy New Year. Susan Burrows
Happy
says
New Year. Happy New Year.
those people smile on the outside and cry on the inside, just
Yep.
like clowns.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody for your support and your prayers for my dad, and I will keep everybody posted. We will be on tomorrow.
Love you, Susan.
Yeah, and Sissy Brooks, again, thank you very much. And for those of you who might be suffering, don't be afraid to reach out to one of us. If I don't know what to do, I can hook you up with somebody that does. If you're anywhere near First Baptist Church and they're open, go on in and talk to somebody. Nobody there will turn you away.
Yeah.
They will love on you there. And come up here, we'll love on you up here too. So
Be direct about what you want and you need to.
Yes.
If you're really lonely and you need somebody to be
We're
involved
not
in
mind
your life,
readers.
then ask somebody.
we're not mind readers. So if
Right.
you're contemplating self-harm and stuff like that,
And you're worth it.
yes, if you think that now a lot of people they get so head over heels in debt that they just don't see a way out, but the only way out is by death. You know what? File bankruptcy.
Yeah.
That'll be 7 years of you without having any credit cards or anything like that.
Good for you. Good for
Good,
you.
very good. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it'll be worth it.
It'll be worth it.
I went
There's
through that.
Changing life is hard. And
Love you too,
it
sir,
takes
Susan.
hard steps that take a relentless focus. But if you're focusing on the goal, which is what? If you're feeling depressed and suicidal and lonely, it's to have connection to somebody.
To not feel lonely.
So it's
suicidal
hard to
depression.
step out there, but there has to be a first step. There has to be a hello. You know, I was just wanting to talk to somebody. You got
Thank
to say that.
Nikki Skaggs.
It's a few words, takes a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Alex Webb says, look at Robin Williams, for example. Always
Exactly.
happy looking, but
Dead.
dead.
Yeah, the comic, he was very, very sad.
The wake of emotional destruction and the suicide is terrible.
Mhm.
Now, I have many Catholic friends that would probably hate me for saying this, but I don't believe suicide is a straight ticket to hell either.
No, it's not.
So it doesn't say that.
I don't either, because at the point where God spoke to me, it was too late to untake the pills.
Right.
But it wasn't too late to face God.
That's why I firmly believe with all my heart that, it says in the scripture that God deals with a man's spirit in the twinkle of an eye. You know how fast that is? That's at the speed of light. Since God's sitting outside time and space, he can bring you to a place where time is not moving and talk to you.
Exactly.
I would have died if I didn't accept
And he
the
did
good that
that
he
to
was
you.
showing me, though.
He did that
If
to
I'd have
you.
rejected the good that he was showing me, though, I would have died then. Because
Yeah.
it was the good that he was showing me that I wanted to live for and to have. And so
Happy
I
birthday,
started
Steve
to fight
Schultz.
for my life, and that's how I...
Happy birthday, Steve.
Yeah, happy birthday, Steve Schultz. How did
Wow.
you not realize that it's New Year's Day, that Steve
Why,
Schultz
he
birthday?
came into the world on New Year's Day.
New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because there's a story about there was another baby that beat him.
Oh,
He wasn't the first of the year.
that baby's probably
Aw.
taller.
Yeah,
Anyways.
I remember him saying that.
Anyways,
And with that,
It's
on
pretty
that
likely.
note,
I
It's
don't
very
have
likely.
I don't have my phone plugged back in right now, so we're not going to do any outro music. Just know that we appreciate all you guys. We appreciate your prayers.
We love you.
I
Love
am
you.
going to be heading home after this. I'm taking you home first, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
But just know that we love you. We will be back on tomorrow, same time, same channel. Again, there will not be another show after ours today, but there will be tomorrow. So until then, my friends, God bless you and keep you. We love you. My name is Matt,
My name is Jay.
my name is Steve.
and this has been
The
Morning Drive.
Merge Out.
Oh, oops. What am I doing?
I don't know.